As I stood on this bridge, photographing this bird, I couldn't help but notice the amount of people that walked by without ever seeing this beautiful bird. They were all fixated on the destination of their journey. They never looked up or down or at the side, left or right. Because they were so fixated on their destination, they never enjoyed the journey. In my daily walks, I do my very best to enjoy the journey. One of my very best discovery was to find out that I know so very little. I know nothing. And because I don't know a lot, I am open to education. I'm open to learn. And that means that I am subjected to the wisdom of others. This bird perhaps knows more about human nature than he lets on. After all, he just stood there, grooming himself, knowing that no one would bother him. Knowledge is paramount in life. One can glean a lot of knowledge simply by observing life in and around wherever you are, right where you are. Simply observe. Be aware. Pay attention. Knowledge, of course, comes in many different forms, many different ways, and from many different people. You simply have to be receptive. For example, I learned how to dress so that people would ignore me, so I'm free to do this, shoot pictures. A man once told me that when you dress and you're fixated on doing your job, then you ought to dress down. People have been conditioned to believe that if you wear shoddy shoes and really old-fashioned thrift store clothes, that it's best to ignore you. So people ignore me when I work because my shoddy shoes and my shoddy way of dress, and that leaves me free to do what I do. A man walked into a place where they sell very expensive fishing boats, and he wore old shoes, old clothes. He looked like a tramp. And of course, the salespeople ignored him. So he walked around this place for about 40 minutes, and people just looked him up and down as if to say, "What are you doing here?" So he left, and he went to the other boat place right across the street. As he walked through the door of that other business place, a very young man who has not yet been conditioned to judge people walked up to him and he said, "Sir, may I help you?" He said, "Well, I don't know. I'm just looking at the different boats." He said, "That's okay. I'll show you." And the young man took the time and talked to this very shabbily dressed man and showed him all the different boats. The young man, of course, was not been trained, conditioned to think bad of people, to be judgmental. At the end, the shoddily dressed man said, "Thank you so very much. But, I really cannot afford the boat." He said, "That's okay. It's my job to show you what we have. And who knows, maybe someday you'll buy a boat from me." At which point the man said, "That someday is today." At which point he took out his American Express Gold card and bought the $80,000 boat from this very young man. I played golf with a man once who told me that he was on his way to Cuba to buy property. So I reminded him that he can't do that because he carries an American passport. He said that he had learned from an Italian man that it's just a matter of time and Cuba is going to be open to the world. And in Cuba there are a lot of very beautiful beaches and expensive looking property that can be bought cheap. So he wants to see for himself, so he'll fly into Montego Bay, Jamaica, and there he will get a special visa to go into Cuba and look for himself. You just can't beat education. Wisdom is where you find it. So today, be receptive to knowledge. Learn something new today.